In this video, you're going to learn how to go on 2 to 4 dates with attractive women every single week. I'm going to give you a step-by-step practical guide to accomplishing this, even if you haven't gone on a date in over a year and you have no idea where to start. And I want to be clear, I'm someone who did not go on a single date throughout high school. My crush literally made fun of me from across the room and laughed at me when I was in earshot and I heard her saying that he's like a little boy. Why would anyone ever date him? That's what I heard. So I was not someone who was always good with women. I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn through rejection. I had to learn through facing approach anxiety. And it took me a very long time. But because I've put in all the effort that I've had, because now I'm someone who goes on over 100 dates per year. In many years, I'll go on 200-300 dates. I don't keep exact count, but it's many dates. I have no problem. Let's wait for this plane, which is rudely interrupting. I have no problem getting dates with attractive women. It's something that did not come easy to me. It took me years to figure it out, but it does not need to take you years to figure it out when you have the proper set of steps. And that's really the first thing. Hey, seagulls. That's really the first thing. San Diego. Overall, I would say San Diego is one of the most beautiful cities in the country. But anyway, really the initial thing is taking the mindset that it's something that you can learn. This is something a lot of people don't want to believe because it's not exactly romantic, that dating can be a skill. But it's just like sales. Sales is a skill. The best salesman in any job will consistently make many times more sales than the worst. And the same thing with dating. Yes, there's a lot of things that are outside of your control. To an extent, your physical appearance is out of your control, although not completely. But there are many things under your control. Coming across as confident versus timid, taking the lead, making a move instead of rejecting yourself. There are many things that you can do to improve your odds. Think of it like poker. Poker is not something where you can win 100% of the time. You can't get every girl. But if you're skilled, a skilled poker player will win in the long run many times over compared to anyone else. And the same is true in dating. And I'm proof of that because I went many years without getting any results, without getting any dates. And then once I changed my strategy, my results changed as well. And the same is true for many of my clients, because you might be thinking, oh, well, I'm Indian, or I'm short, or I'm bald, or I don't make any money, I'm fat. I'm technically overweight right now. I'm working on that, but I'm technically overweight right now, and that has not stopped me. I've even been literally obese in the past, and I still was getting multiple dates per week. So you might be thinking, oh, well, yeah, for you, sure, it works, but I have many testimonials and infield of my clients who have whatever excuse you have having success.
Hey, I think you're cute. What are you doing tomorrow?
I don't have any plans for tomorrow. I will
Okay.
see what I do.
I'll text you, maybe we'll get a drink or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what's your number?
So I don't expect you to immediately believe me when I say even if you're not good looking, you can get multiple dates per week. But don't assume it's not possible. Go find some evidence by doing the things I'm going to talk about in this video. Don't just trust what you read on Reddit or watched in YouTube videos like this. Don't trust those as gospel. You need to get real evidence. That's the mindset you need to have, because if you don't start from that place of thinking maybe it is possible, if you tell yourself, well, I'm going to watch this video for entertainment, but I don't believe it's possible, then you're not going to go out of the house. You're not going to do the steps that I'm going to tell you, and nothing's going to happen. Nothing is going to change. So the start is you need to be open-minded. So with that said, let's jump into the 2 strategies that you can use to get 2 to 4 dates every single week. Number 1 is online dating, and number 2 is meeting women in real life. Now, the thing with online dating is it's a source of great stress for a lot of men. It's something I don't talk about on my channel very much because I've always been more focused on meeting women in real life through cold approach. But the truth is, you can get very good results from Tinder unless you're like really, really physically unattractive. Like if you're massively overweight, then you might need to lose some weight first. And I used to think that my own success from Tinder, like there was no chance. I used to think that I couldn't get results from Tinder because I was getting no matches. I eventually got my main pictures rated, and they were a 5.1 out of 10, rated by women on the app Photo Feeler. My main picture was a 5.1 out of 10 in attractiveness. And I thought, well, I guess I'm just not photogenic. But eventually I got a new set of pictures. I used one of the strategies I'm going to talk more about later, and I eventually got pictures that were rated as high as a 9.7 out of 10 when rated by women. So I went from a 5.1 with what I thought was a good picture to a 9.7, which is in the top 3%. And of course, with that picture, I get a lot of matches and I have no problem going on dates. In fact, I often flake on the girls that match with me because I don't have time to go on that many dates. And even if you can't get a 9.7, if you get a picture with a 9 out of 10, your results will radically change. And what I want to tell you is chances are the pictures you're using on Tinder, unless you're getting multiple matches already, they suck. In fact, I did a free Tinder profile review on my channel recently, and most of the people who sent me their pictures, and these are people who are taking it more seriously because they think, all right, I'm going to actually put in the effort, send this guy my pictures, get a review. Most of their pictures were not good at all. Many of them were mirror selfies, they were in a poorly lit area, they were taken with what looked like an iPhone 4 or like a BlackBerry before there even were iPhones. The quality was low. Many of them did not have a portrait, blurry background. They had bad facial expressions like mean mugging. A lot of guys mean mug. If a girl thinks you look mad and that you're going to like physically assault someone right after you took that picture, if that's what you look like, it's not going to get a match, right? You're not going to get a good reaction to that kind of picture. So that's what I saw. Most of them were very bad, and then 10% were really good. And there was very, very little in between. Chances are, if you're not getting matches, you're using pictures that you randomly took, and you're like, I guess that one's good. Get it rated on Photo Feeler, and you'll see that the picture is just not good. Chances are your pictures suck, and you might think, oh, it's just I'm not good looking, I'm not photogenic. Your pictures, the variance, like for me, the variance between my bad pictures and my good pictures is 5 points. And if I showed my worst pictures, the ones that I didn't think were good enough for Tinder, but pictures that other people would have used, I got as low as a 4 point something on one of them, like a 4.4. So the degree of variance between your best picture and an average picture is huge. A 5.1 gets almost no matches. A 9.7 is one of the best profiles and gets more matches than I have time for. So if you want to do Tinder, you want to do online game, the first step is to admit your pictures probably suck. I mean, look at them, be honest, ask some girls, ask some of your friends, how good is this picture? They're probably going to say, not very good. And once you admit they're not very good, what you need to do is get much better pictures. Now, the easiest way to get better pictures is to get a photo shoot. Get a professional photo shoot. It's not that hard to find a photographer. They're not all equally as good. Yes, some professional photographers are not going to do a great job, but it's still probably going to be better than what you have now. It's still going to be better than what you're starting with. And then you'll start getting some matches. A professional photo shoot, a guy with a actually good camera, he understands lighting, he understands the basics. It's going to be solid. You're going to get solid results from that. So that's where I would recommend starting. If you can't afford it, go out with a friend and go take some pictures. Now, in my upcoming online course, The Spark, I go into the details, how to get the right facial expression, how to get the right lighting, how to take good pictures by yourself, even if you don't have someone to go out with, how to just bring your phone out and get pictures that don't look like selfies, to get pictures that are actually good. I have a photo that was rated a 9.6 that I took by myself. I'll show you how to do that, all the details. The second step with Tinder is to create a sequence of texts that you can just copy paste. I actually have macros on my phone. It's very easy to create. Basically, /1 sends the first text, /2 sends the second text, and then different commands send different texts based on what the girl responds. The thing about online dating is it's very easy to procrastinate, not send any messages, or to send weird messages that make the girl end up ghosting you. What you want to do is have a basic sequence of texts that you can use as a backup. So if you can think of something clever to say, you can think of something interesting, sure, send that. But having a backup plan, having a text that you know works, for me, the very first text is, "Can I be honest?" ? Which most girls are like, be honest about what? What do you mean? Is he going to compliment me? Is he going to insult me? It gets them intrigued and it gets a very high response rate. You want to have a sequence of messages that you can use as a backup plan when you can't think of something in the moment. Once you get better pictures and you start getting matches, that doesn't automatically mean you're going to be getting dates. So the best way to change that is to have something that you can just rely on Whenever you don't know what to say, whenever you don't know, oh, what should I do? You have /3. And that just takes off a lot of the effort. It takes the weight off your shoulders, and then you'll start getting a lot more dates. That's one of the things that I include in my upcoming online course, The Spark, is a complete flow chart, a complete sequence of texts that I've not only created, but I've tested and perfected over the course of several months that makes it very easy to turn any match into an actual date. But short of that, the best thing you can do is watch videos like Alex Playing with Fire, watch the texts that he sends, watch other good examples of text threads that led to dates, and see how you can create your own sequence of messages based on those videos. That would be a good place to start. So that covers how to get dates from the apps. But what about in person? In person, the key, more than anything, is playing the numbers game. This is something most men do not want to do. It does not sound very romantic to think, yeah, I approached 23 girls tonight, a lot of them rejected me, I got a few numbers, but you're the one that I ended up hooking up with. But the reality is, if you don't use volume, if you don't play the numbers game, you're probably going to lose the game. You're going to end up settling with some coworker who you don't even find that attractive, but she made it very clear she was into you, and you're like, well, that's my only option. Women all play the numbers game. Keep this in mind. They do it passively, but they all play the numbers game. Because when they download Tinder, they have a bunch of guys hitting them up. They have guys hitting them up on Instagram. When they go to a bar or club, they talk to 20, 30 guys. If you're not doing the same, you're at a disadvantage. Yeah, it's easier for women to do that. So what? If you don't have the same mentality that you're going to have many options, then you're going to get into a scarcity mindset because the only girl that seems into you is, Bertrude, that's a good name to get the right image, Bethany, something like that, it's always with a B, but Bertrude at work, who let's say is, not the most attractive, she really likes you and that's the only option you have and you end up settling with her. I've known many guys to do this. You probably know friends of yours who've done this. You may have done this yourself in the past, or you settled for a girl you didn't consider attractive because you had so few options. But when you realize every woman is playing the numbers game, then why wouldn't you do the same? Because she's gonna have 50, 100 options. Why is she gonna choose you when you're a guy who has one option? When you're a guy who's needy and desperate and comes across as someone who does not have options? She's not. She's gonna choose the guys who are playing the numbers game, the guys who have other options. It's called pre-selection. It's one of the most unconsciously attractive traits, is being a guy who has options, who is not desperate. We all know women are turned off by neediness. What makes you needy is the fact that you're not playing the numbers game, that you're not cultivating options. So the key, if you're gonna meet women in person, is to play the numbers game. Yes, there are many aspects of skill. There are many aspects other than just doing a lot of approaches that matter. Your eye contact, your vocal tonality, your body language. Do you say things that are interesting and get her intrigued, or are you boring and monotone and you just ask like interview questions? All those things matter. Do you know how to lead things forward? Do you know how to make a move? Do you know how to make the girl start pursuing you, to make her think you might not be interested, and to make her have a reason to put in some effort instead of just, oh, well, he seems into me, so I guess I'll see what happens. Do you have a way to get her to actually want to put in some effort herself? These are all the kinds of things that I talk about in my upcoming online course, The Spark. I teach you exactly how to do that and how to make it so each approach you do has a much higher chance of leading to a success, of leading to a date. But the starting point is to run volume in the first place, is to approach 20, 30, 40 women, especially if you haven't been talking to a lot of girls, you don't have any options right now. When you go out to a bar and you approach 20 women, a few of them are gonna like you, a few of them are going to respond positively, and that's gonna boost your confidence, and that's gonna give you momentum for the next approach. A girl just sent me a message on Tinder. But that's what's going to happen. That becomes inevitable, that you're going to have some successes. And you might be thinking, what about all the failures? Isn't that going to lower my self-esteem? Well, you already have no options. You already in your mind think every girl's going to reject you. You're being rejected by default by the fact that you're not cultivating different options, that you're not talking to a lot of women, that you're not going on enough dates, right? So because of that, as soon as you start getting some women to give you their number, to light up when you approach them, to say, thank you, you made my day, as that happens more and more often, that internal belief that I have no options starts to change. Yeah, you'll get rejected. Everyone gets rejected. But if you're not putting any effort out there, you're automatically getting rejected 100% of the time. That is the default. So the only thing that's going to change is you're going to see some successes instead of no successes. And that's going to disprove those beliefs, and then you're going to be more confident, your approaches are going to get more smooth, and then you're going to start getting a snowball effect where you get more and more success. So realistically, if you want to get success by approaching women in real life, if you're willing to face your approach anxiety, which most men aren't, but you have to keep in mind the fact that most men will not approach women in real life. They're too afraid, or they have excuses, or whatever. The fact that very few men do that, maybe some guys who are like blackout drunk at a bar will do it, but that's about it. What does that mean? That means it has more value to women. A guy matching on Tinder, that's not that exciting. A guy coming up to you in real life, confidently, and making a strong impression, that's a much more uncommon experience, and so it has a lot more value. And I get success from the dating apps, but I don't pull girls from dating apps like fashion models, girls that I consider a 9 or a 10, really very often. But in person, that is something I've done. And that's largely because in person, there's a lot less competition. You stand out a lot more. And the only thing that's going to be really difficult is overcoming that initial resistance to approaching, that resistance to talking to 20 girls in one night. But as soon as you do that one time, you talk to 20 women in a night, and you ask them out, and you ask any of the ones out that were giving you positive responses or make some kind of move. Once you do that, your perspective will completely change forever. As you do more approaches, it gets easier. You start thinking less negative thoughts, and you start actually looking forward to doing the approaches. I often ask when I do a boot camp, I ask my clients, have you ever had a night where you approached 20 or more women? Most of them say no. Maybe they've approached 4 girls, 3 girls, 5 girls, but there's something very different that happens when you take massive action instead of kind of dipping your feet in the water. Of course, that's easier said than done. There's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of excuses. There's the fact that you've never done it and it's kind of overwhelming. What you want to do is build up to it. Start by just going out, say 30 minutes. Then go out a little bit more. Start by doing 1 approach, then build up to 2, then build up to 5, then increase it over time until you get to where you have a night where you're able to talk to like 20 girls. And then you'll see what I'm talking about. Then the idea of going out and approaching women will become addictive. You'll actually look forward to it. It'll be the highlight of your day. There will be nothing more exciting than doing that, not because you get laid, but because going out is a process that forces you to overcome your ego, to fight against your excuses, to develop your courage. So that's the basic outline of what you need to do. Approach a lot of women whenever there seems to be any level of chemistry. If she's not telling you fuck off or not trying to get away from you, if she seems like she might possibly be interested, then make sure to at least get her number and try to set up plans. And if you do that enough, you'll find it's actually not that hard to get 2, 3, 4, even more dates in a single week, not even having to go out every day, just going out 2 or 3 nights a week. That is entirely possible. Now, if you want a specific set of steps, a specific 30-day challenge that goes through the entire process and breaks it down and gives you a proven system for what to do to overcome that approach anxiety, for what to do to start building momentum, for how to go from not being able to approach to being able to do a half-assed approach where it's not very good, to then doing a confident approach, to then getting to a point where you're actually pulling girls and getting dates, etc. That's something that I'm including in my upcoming online course, The Spark. It breaks this overall process that I've been talking about into a very specific set of steps that you can follow. And as long as you do those steps, you will get results. And not only will those results be getting dates and getting laid, it's that sense of, I've always wanted. Every guy wants to be able to approach hot girls and wants to be able to get a date with a stranger that they find intriguing. We all want that. We all see a girl that part of us wants to talk to her, but most men never do that. And so once you go through this process, yes, you will get the tangible results, but more importantly, internally, you've conquered this obstacle. You've overcome something that you were never able to do, and you become a more powerful version of yourself. You develop a courage that most men never get. And beyond that, you become more confident in yourself. You become more expressive. You get rid of that mask that most people have where they're kind of fake. You're able to become a more charismatic, more charming, more attractive version of yourself that not only applies to dating, but it applies to every social interaction in your life. That's the real value of going through this. So I know it's very easy to tell yourself, I'm going to start eventually. I'm going to do this someday, and never do it. But keep in mind, about 50% of men statistically who are single between the ages of 18 and 30 in America did not get laid a single time in the last year. Think about that. That's a real statistic. About half of men are not getting laid at all. And it's not because in the US we're religious. It's not because we have hang-ups about hookup culture. No, it's because of lack of courage. It's because anxiety, excuses. It's because of shitty Tinder pictures that lead to no matches. That's the reason why. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to do a much deeper dive and to get the specific steps about all the things I've been talking about today, that's all going to be included in my upcoming online course, The Spark, and I'll tell you more about that as we get closer to the release date. And not only will it teach you the strategy, but you will also see real hidden camera infield examples of all the principles I talk about in the course working. You'll see what they look like when they're implemented correctly. You also see examples of mistakes, examples of failures, even some of my own, and examples of clients. You'll see what the mistakes look like that most people make and how to correct them. And then you'll see what a successful approach looks like. And I'll break that down and explain exactly how you can have the same kind of interactions yourself.